Welcome everybody today to our webinar, Safeguard Your VMware Cross-Data Center Availability. This is our NiCE VMware Management Pack 5.5 release webinar. My name is Christian Heidkamp. I'm the product manager for the VMware Management Pack. I'm really happy to welcome you all here. And with me, I'm happy also to welcome our co-developer and lead engineer, Mugove.
Yeah, hi, Christian. Hi, everybody.
We'll do a couple of demos. So we have a very interesting 45 minutes in front of us. And I just like to share a quick overview of the agenda with you. So first, actually, we'll just talk a bit about NiCE, the solutions, and then we dive right into VMware. It's getting quite technical. So I hope that all of you actually are familiar with the VMware environment or with SCOM. Right. So let me just do a short introduction about NiCE. You see, we've been quite a long time around. So we do management pack developments for SCOM, and that's our passion. We do it for many years. I stopped counting by now. We are claimed as the leading monitoring specialist for System Center, and we do a lot of an Azure Monitor as well. If you need a management pack, just feel free to call us. We'll help. We have a large network of partners we work with. Plus, we have a good bunch of people doing all day nothing that management pack authoring here in-house at NiCE. So we cover 24/7 support from Europe and North America from our different offices where our specialists are located. Just a few words about our portfolio of management packs we offer. Here is that in the first row here, you primarily see the Microsoft solutions. So this is the really large and important part of our portfolio to cover like Microsoft 365 services like OneDrive, SharePoint, Exchange, Teams, and Dynamics in management packs. Today, we talk about VMware. Next to VMware, we do have management packs for Oracle and a lot of other solutions, ranging all the way to the Logfile MP, which is our free solutions. Many of you probably know and use. So that is available for Windows and Linux as well. So feel free to go to our website and download free solutions or register for as a trial for any of the other solutions. With that, actually, I want to quickly switch over now to the VMware Management Pack. So the VMware Management Pack is around since over 10 years in our portfolio, and we've been adding more features and as over the years. By now, we have the release 5.4 and 5.5. 5.4 was out in the beginning of the year, and 5.5 is just about to be released. So we didn't quite make it for today, but this week it's going to be the release week. Probably latest by Thursday, you find it on our portal. You will receive an email, or you can also go to our news sections and you receive an update from that. So 5.5 is basically on the verge of being released. So this week is the release week, and that's set in stone. So basically, and just to give you an overview, so we have a lot of new features, and I will cover in the next half hour all the features that are in there. And these features are not features that we came up with. So some of them we had good ideas and said like, let's do that. But most of them are actually customer requirement driven from our customers who ask for new features. And we have a longer list basically. And if they get enough votes, so to say, on the backlog, then we add them to the product. We've spent like many engineering hours in our teams to develop the new release. So we typically work in agile sprints to bring this to market, and this is so to being typically between 2 and 3 releases per year. We release of the VMware Management Pack. So, and I talk later a bit about the roadmap, what we plan next, and also when next releases then come up and what changes you can expect. Obviously, there are always changes. They are not necessarily defects, so there are no critical defects in the earlier releases. So if you're using 5.3 or 5.4 or also any of the earlier releases, there are no critical defects in there that require an upgrade, but they're always like, let's say, for example, the product knowledge is improved or a lot of minor things, and I will not go through all of those. They're actually mentioned in the release notes. So if you want to understand what those are, you can actually always look into the release notes. And okay, let's have a look on the new features. Okay. Like the key features for that are typically that the first obviously is always to support the latest ESXi versions and vCenter versions here. So actually we support 7.3, so we are a VMware partner. So through our VMware partnership, we get the latest versions plus also early access versions, plus we have all the NFR benefits, so we can make sure we have a very solid environment. We have hundreds of VMs running on, actually we have many ESXi servers host basically also in our environment to test against all versions, plus also make sure all the complicated configurations like vSphere HA and even vSphere fault tolerance are configured and working so we can test against them. So also for the new vSAN features and the extended vCenter HA in a piece, we have set up environments so we can test all against that, so that we have really a solid product and have really good quality assurance for all the new features we bring in there. So I will not run over this list here because I have a separate slide for each of those. So this is basically just an overview. So I will basically start with the first one, which is in slide here. So around the versions which are supported. We dropped 2012 R2 support now from the operations manager. However, it probably still works. We just didn't spend the time to verify it. So if somebody of you still has SCOM 2012 R2, let us know. We gladly help you to migrate to 2016, but if you want to stay there for good reasons, we can also do a verification against it. On the vCenter side and ESX side, we are up to date with the latest versions here, and they're also certified. All right, let's go to the first feature. So, and the first feature here is monitoring the restart of vSphere HAVM. So this is basically really if you want to talk about the high availability of your virtual machine. So you typically have a cluster of various ESX hosts, and obviously if one ESX host goes down, then actually you want to make sure that your VMs continue to run and are actually correctly restarted. And also you want to know that they were restarted, because you might not know, or you might get a lot of those restart events. Let's say you have a host with 20 VMs or 30 VMs and that goes down, and then you get a lot of alerts, and actually you will have a single alert here. This is this aggregated of events that you will actually see one alert which gives you all the details of all the VMs that were restarted, and also will give you information on what other ESX hosts they were restarted. I put a little graph here because in one of the last webinars we talked about vMotion. So just to make the difference, because we also do monitor vMotions and the number of vMotions that go across. So this is something different. So we have vMotions that typically happen if you want to upgrade an ESX host and you want to migrate all the VMs from one ESX host over to others. So you can upgrade that ESX host. vSphere HA is really like an automatic failover. So, and I will actually demonstrate this in a moment. So I will kill one of our ESX hosts, I'll really rip it down, and we'll monitor what happens to the VMs on that. So that will be our first demo right now. So let's go over to my demo environment. All right, so I'm starting right here on the vCenter client. So we have a vCenter with vSAN set up, and this is basically cluster. In this cluster, we have a number of VMs running. So we have 3 ESX systems. So we see Core 24 runs on ESX 31, and we have another one on ESX 30, and we have Core 22 running also on ESX 30. So looks like at least 2 are running on ESX 30. So let's say we'll just like shut this down. So where they're running. So let's go and shut this down. Power shut down. So, and we'll shut this down. So now this ESX host is going to be shut down. So there's obviously the other case that if you're just pulling the plug and immediately take power off. So this is pretty much the same. So so here it's bit more preparation, so to say, because the shutdown is handled. But in the end, it's if you would power down this ESX host physically, basically go over to our data center and pull the plug, it's literally the same. So and as I said, we do really test this. We do this test you probably wouldn't do in your data center, just walk over and pulling some network cable and power cable. So we do this just to make sure that the alerting is really bulletproof here. So so this is the host is being shut down, and we will receive the alerts in a moment. So while we wait this, the host is being shut down, the VMs are restarted on a host, I will do demo you the next use case actually. This is happening in the background, and I will actually go now over and show you the just a moment, the capacity report. So this is a new feature here as well, and this new feature about capacity report is purely built on SCOM. So and I really want to give you a short overview of that. So now we actually switch over to the SCOM console. All right, so I opened already the reporting console. So we have the monitoring console, the authoring, and the reporting console. We do have a number of reports already. So we have all the VMware reports that give you like information about over and underutilization, detailed reports, VM reports, data store reports, and all the like. There have been more asked to also do capacity planning reports, like to understand basically based on the historic data, how is my data store size developing? Let's say it increases like every day by 5%, like when I'm at 100%. So, and this is one of the reports for the data store size. So, and I will just go open the report. The data for this is collected and stored in the SCOM data warehouse. And you can basically pick here the, let's say, minus 60 days, minus 30 days. You can go back whatever time you like to the past, or you can actually then also project this into future. So I'll actually project this like 20 days just to do change here. And now I actually need to go to the objects and say, well, for what data stores I'd like to do this. And I just say, well, let's pick all the data stores here I have and just do the report for those. I will can use all of them. So, and then I will just click on run. At this point in time, SCOM gets the data from the SCOM data warehouse, pulls it out and generates the report. So if you, for example, open like one of the data stores here, so we'll actually see it's pretty flat, nothing is happening here. So it's like not changing. But if we, for example, go to our vSAN data store, we actually see over the reporting time, it's been going up and down. It sees that it tends to go up and it will report this into the future. So this is very helpful in case you have a very environment which is quite dynamic, where VMs are added, VMs are removed, and the VM sizes are growing. So this will give you a very good analysis and handle on your data store and how they're behaving, and you can forecast them into the future. Let's also look at the CPU and do one more report here. So again, I can actually pick our ESX host I like to run the reporting for. I'll just pick not all of them, but pick a set of them. So, and also use the same reporting interval and run this. So, and I will actually go and check one of the systems. And actually, you see here, this is the CPU is tend to go down. So we might have removed some CPUs, or we might have removed some VMs from this. And actually, this is the trend of the forecast based on the last 30 days of data which is available, which are available here. So that's about the new reporting feature. All right, so with that, let's quickly go back to the slides and go to the next slide. All right, so we have one more use case I like to bring up. It's about the VMware overall guest disk usage monitor. So this monitor monitors all disks of a VM with a single monitor. So this was a requirement that came in from one of our customers, because we have a monitor, obviously, which monitors each virtual disk which is in there. So if you have 10 VHDs or like even 50, a lot of virtual disk in your system, and then they're all in the same data store, and that means basically now the data store runs out of space, then you get like a lot of alerts. So and you can actually bring this down to one of the alerts. So and then at the same time monitor actually the actual virtual hard disk as well. So the virtual virtual machine guest disk monitor is per individual VHD, and this one actually is kind of a summary monitor which comprehends all the virtual disk. And I will show you this actually also in the demo environment. I'll go here to a different system. So so we have an example here, overall guest disk usage. Oh, no, but you have to go to this. Sorry, sometimes I have to switch between the different consoles. I have different different management groups here. So no, sorry. There we go. Here we are. So this is the correct environment. So because this is basically a more our production-like environment which we have. So we have the NiCE.de domain where we have a lot of our ESX hosts running. So we can basically use our own product, obviously, to monitor in our environment here. So and in this case, we see that for the system W108, we actually we have like an alert from the individual monitor for the drive C, which is running out of space. So it's has 94% basically full. And then we have the summary monitor here at the same time, which also gives an alert. So if we would have like multiple disks in this machine, then we basically have a summary monitor that brings us all together. We can also have a quick look at the configuration, which is actually quite interesting here. So we can go to overrides. And in this case, we actually see that we have a larger set of options here. So we can either alert by megabytes. We could also have this by percentage. We have one for warning and error. So we have actually 4 thresholds here that you can use depending on your requirements you have. Very important is here that we only have data for this if the VMware tools are installed. So this is listed in the configuration and requirements section in the product knowledge of this monitor. So it is key that the VMware tools are installed, but if the VMware tools are not installed, no data can be collected, and there's typically an alert that will come up, but I disabled this alert in this case and say, well, I don't want to have this alert for the VMs that don't have the VMware tools installed. So because otherwise there's no chance to look inside the VM, and this monitor basically needs to look inside the VM to get the correct number from the VM. By the way, if you have, for example, the SCOM agent deployed, this is a redundancy. So this is on purpose because we have customers that do not have the System Center Operations Manager agent, so the health agent or Microsoft Operations Manager agent on the system deployed, and still want to monitor the system. So typically good practice is to create 2 groups or enable only this monitor for the group which do not have the SCOM agent installed. So in this release, actually, we added more features around snapshot management. So obviously this is only applies for those who'd like to expose this to the SCOM console via the service user. So I just actually go to one of the environments and pick here on this environment my virtual machines. So all the virtual machines are discovered, and they are in the virtual machine folder view and the virtual machine states. So here we go. Just wait until they come up. So when we look here at the different virtual machines, so we can just pick one and say, well, let me see, pick the top one here, right? And on the right side here, I can just gain the create virtual machine snapshot. Before I actually do that, I will just see this is VC50 and Core 62. So just to show that there's this is actually really happening, I will actually go here, and this is 62. I actually go to snapshots, and you see there's no snapshot here on the system. So I'll actually go on here and run this right now. So it's actually creating snapshot, says, okay, we get the confirmation, I close it, and I'll go back to the system. So so I actually have the snapshot created here right away. So and we see it's here on the date. It's exactly here, Central European Time, 4:24 p.m. And we have a quite small snapshot. So obviously I could delete it here again, but I want to show you the deletion of at a different place. So let's go back to the SCOM console, and to understand what snapshots are there. We can actually go to the discovered snapshot view. So we see actually there are some snapshot being discovered. So we have one on this is task snapshot 02 on Core 28, and Core 28 is sitting on a different virtual center 34, which is indicated down here. So we go to a virtual center 34, and so let's quickly go back here and say Core 28. So 28 snapshots. So here's the test snapshot. So and let's go over and delete this. So, and I click here to delete snapshot. I'm just going to remove it. Okay. Okay, let's see if it's gone. So it's gone, no snapshots available on the system. So it's really instantaneous, right? So it's very fast. So the call which we handle goes through the vAPI to the vCenter and executes that task. Obviously, it's given you have the correct permission. If you suddenly miss some snapshots and you wonder who deleted them, you always can go back into your SCOM console and check up here into the task status actually what task were actually deleted, and you see a delete virtual snapshot was done right away, and it was done by this AD user SCOM admin. So so there's always a trace basically of who executes what type of task. So obviously that's not the only one. You can stop and start different services. You can also do stop and start for virtual machines in this case.
Okay. Yeah. Perhaps you could also show the vSAN vSAN Skyline Health.
All right. Okay. Good. Let's get that over. So I will just change to this information. Maybe you want just to talk to that because this is really your specialty. So I'm just doing the demo guy here. So and I'm just like moving down to the
vSAN and then to Skyline Health.
Okay.
And yeah. So basically, for the Skyline Health, we're monitoring all the metrics that are available within a cluster. Just to get, as long as it has a vSAN enabled, we can retrieve all the metrics which are there, such as those to do with the network metrics. For example, if you have two hosts which have duplicate IPs, for example, that's a new metric that we've added in there. If, for example, if your hardware is not compatible with VMware, we can notify you if it is, for example, SCSI certified, and there's a monitor for that. And actually, in our environment on VC34, we can see that it's yellow. So if so if you just move a little bit.
Yeah, let me just see VC34 you said, VC right?
And then if you click on vSAN cluster,
okay.
vSAN cluster.
Okay, and the monitor.
Good.
And we go
and
to
then if you scroll to Skyline Health. So this is just for the clusters. And then already we can see that, for example, the hardware is not certified, so the SCSI controller is not VMware certified. Another alert that we have is this vSAN build recommendation engine. So it just tells us, okay, there's a problem that you need to check, or maybe you need to upgrade to the latest vCenter server version. So all the metrics that are available there, we monitor in our collector, and that is available to you from if you would like to customize or just to track something. And, yeah, so all the information is there in this release, and I think that's something news.
Wonderful, perfect. So exactly, this has been all added in the latest release. So in or in 5.4 that was already added. So yeah, perfect. So by now, actually, just to recap for those who joined late, we got a really interesting alert right now, and this was the alert we actually reproduced by killing one of our ESX hosts. So when we shut down ESX host 30, and ESX host 30, let me show down, is down here, not responding. So all the VMs that were running on that were now restarted, and you can actually see that the VM core 27 was restarted on ESX 31, and that looks like most of them or actually all of them were moved to ESX 31 now, and in that specific cluster. So with that information, this can actually get quite extensive. So you can get one alert for all the ESX that were restarted here. So that completes that demo case. Great, let's go back to the slides. So we talked about the snapshots, and there's so great. We didn't show revert, but it's basically similar to that. You have to select the snapshot and then revert. We covered the vSAN monitoring and the Skyline Health, and in the next step, we actually talk a bit about data store over provisioning. So for that, I quickly want to do some theory here because not all of you might completely, or it might not be completely clear what over provisioning means here. So I just want to make sure that we all understand this. So we have basically a number of iSCSI loons dedicated to the different VMs. So, and if you do a thin provisioning or like a lazy zero thick provisioning of VHD, which is located on that loon, then you say, for example, this is a 200 gigabyte, but actually it's only occupying 100 gigabytes. So because it's not full yet. The next one you say it's 500 gigabyte, but currently it's occupying only 150 gigabyte, and you have a third one which has 300 gigabyte. So altogether, basically you have 1 terabyte of capacity you would require if all of them go to basically 100%. But your physical capacity is only 500 gigabytes. So this might actually have a problem as soon as one of them goes high. So you over provision this by like 100%. So you have the provisioning is 200% in this case of the capacity. So obviously you want to keep an eye on this, because if you over provision and you have critical workloads and one of the VMs really like fills up the disk, other disks might not have more space available. So this is really important to monitor. So we added this to the monitoring here to actually alert if the data stores are over provisioned. So, and I will also show you this here in the demo, the alert. So we have here the alert of a critical alert. We have actually a data store here which is over provisioned, so like by over 100%. So we have 217% of space. So all the basically disks here will or the virtual hard disks that are residing on this data store, if they grow like then this will actually cause a problem. Obviously we get an alert from the data store monitor before, so we have a monitor obviously on the size available on the data store, so that will alert. But if something grows very fast, we might just not have enough disk capacity to add to the data store. So in this case, obviously there might really a problem. So and so this is being added here. So and for the configuration of the specific monitor, it is similar to be done like with others. So you can actually put a critical threshold in here. So you can also put a warning threshold in here. So, and you can change the frequency this runs. Typically, this is not really required to run too often. So default is 15 minutes. And you can also do a match count that if a short spike is there, then this wouldn't alert. But for this monitor, this is not so key. All right, so this is the over provisioning monitoring here, which been added. All right, let's go to the next one. There's more. So vCenter service monitoring. So also been a customer request here, which we added actually by I think 3 customers who required this. Most of them only required a specific service to be monitored. And for this, I logged in already to the vCenter console. So and just go to the shell, and if you check the service control on the virtual hypervisor, you actually get all the status of the services that are running. So here, and let me open in the background actually the discovered services for this. So here on the left side, you see the VMware vCenter and the vCenter service state. So all the services are discovered here. So and actually we see that one is down, which gives an alert here. So and this is the one which is not running. So I opened the one which is here in parallel. So I just ran this command. I can just run it again. So you see actually that the other ones are like purposely stopped and not monitored, but the vstats, which is this monitor here right now, is basically down and should be started. So with the correct permissions, actually, you can start it right from here. So you can just run this task, and so let's see if this has the correct permissions. Again, the service account requires this permission to run, so otherwise it gives you here an alert, but it says okay. So we'll just go back and double check, going back to the console, running the service control, and actually we see that the vstat, which was listed here under stopped, is now not anymore here, and the vstat should appear here in the list. There it is, as running a service. It will take a couple of minutes to update it here, but it will update here and change it back to green. We could also like stop systems, services, or restart them if required. So again, this is subject to the permission set that is given, but in the end, also auditing applies here. So or in this case, we see here that the start for the specific task was done here for this service, and also the AD user that actually submitted this task. All right, let's go back to the slide set. Okay. Okay, so there are more things that I don't go into detail to demo them, but we'll actually have version 5.5 where we have extended improved tracing. So we have some customers really large or complex environments. So to actually have our support, first line support, and also as customers to retrieve better troubleshooting information, we extended improved tracing information. So every monitor you see or discoveries, you can also switch on tracing, and there's a tracing facility which gives information in the event log or to a file as well at the debug level. So and that this can be used for troubleshooting and analysis. So next, there's improved self-monitoring. So we have seen that, well, security is everywhere good, very important. So and we need in a cluster environment where we do high availability monitor or high available monitoring of the VMware environment, we need to have communication between the collection system via WMI. So and sometimes the firewalls are closed and nothing works, and customers calling our support. But now there's actually an alert that informs them that the firewall needs to be open for that specific access. Then we added the knowledge article. So there are really extensive knowledge articles in some areas. So feel free to browse around. You will actually learn quite a lot. So And then we updated our documentation. So we have 4 sets of documentation. So this is the quick start guide. So in case you take the VMware Management Pack, pick the quick start guide and it should get you started, as it says, quickly. And the advanced guide, which has all the details for advanced configurations. There's also a PowerShell script. So in case you don't want to use the configuration UI which is provided, you want to run this automatically via PowerShell, you can do this. You can onboard ESXi servers, you can onboard and or also enable or disable monitoring for VMs. Maybe this is worth to show quickly. So there is for those who don't know, there is the VMware MP administration utility, which is basically outside of SCOM and is basically a gatekeeper between the ESX or vCenter environment and the SCOM environment, and there can be filtering or also monitoring setting can be done. This is basically right here, and we did some extensions to that. And as well, if you do not want to do the filtering here for the different clusters by clicking a lot of boxes, you can do this via PowerShell. So next, we have done improvements to performance and state views. So that's more under the hood, and obviously as well, documentation updates. Great. So again, if there are questions, feel free to add them to the chat. We're coming to the end of our session today. So in the last part, I will talk a bit about what we are working towards. So right now we are delivered the 5.5, or we are basically in the shipment process of 5.5, which will be in the next 2 days on the portal available for download. And then we are actually already continuing to develop the next versions of VMware Management Pack. So, and where we do some for the HTML5 or web console from SCOM, we'll add some widgets, we do some updates on there. There is more about DRS rules and DR rules for violations, affinity rules, and so on. So we adding a bit more. There already the DRS recommendations are loaded. So in case you're using the cluster feature and you you follow the DRS recommendations on optimizing workloads in your cluster, then they're already there, but we will do some improvements, especially for affinity rules and the DRS score, as it's called. And then later we do some updates on HA, scalability, and discovery. These are continuing improvements on the VMware Management Pack. We'll then going through a longer term of updates, so we always ensure that our underlying interface is up to date. So we do some internal refactoring. This is basically work in the machine room, which doesn't really affect the customer feature set, but it's important to have like a up-to-date and modern software within the collector. So that is going on. And obviously, we typically get a number of customer requirements or asks, so we integrate them. So the next one will be in a couple of, probably in the second half of the year, we plan the next release. And if you have requests for that, we're happy to hear them. So feel free to ask. So we can incorporate them in one of the next releases, or also if it's important, like ship an update out of the cycle. So they are typically short-cycled patches and hot fixes as need if there's a specific customer need. All right, with that, I think we'll come to the end. If there are any questions, feel free to use the question area. So there's one question on the licensing. The licensing, yes, the licensing part is you require a license for the VMware Management Pack. So for new customers, we have evaluation license, and for permanent customers, they can download the license from our customer portal and import it. The license is core-based. So we count the number of cores, and then on each of the management servers or each of the proxy system that is responsible for monitoring, the license will be evaluated and can be added. So that's basically a simple step. For pricing information, then we'll reach out to you and give that directly to you. Okay. All right, so I think that's about it. So last round of questions. So I put up the contact details. So as I said, there are two locations. There's the global headquarters here in southern Germany, close to Stuttgart, in the beautiful city of Leonberg. And you can also visit us in Pleasant Hill in California, where our office location is there. And feel free to let us know if you have questions. With that, I will close the call. Thank you. Thank you, Mogove, and thank you everybody
Yeah, thank
for
you.
wonderful. Have a great day. Bye now.